So we proceed further with our case-based question. Now, see this is the case-based question and needs a conceptual clarity of the subject. And reinsurance participation is expressed. This is the question. Reinsurance participation is expressed 10% not exceeding one line, a part of 10 lines. And reinsurance B participation 90% not exceed 9 lines, a part of 10 lines. So in this case, what we have understood from this those statements, that there are two reinsurers, that is A and B, and the question of surplus treaty, that in this case the appropriation of the sum insured or the sum insured has been distributed between reinsurer A and the reinsurer B. So the reinsurer A says 10% not exceeding one line, a part of 10 lines. It means there are 10 lines in the subject, and reinsurer A will participate in one line, and another 9 lines participation will be performed by the reinsurer B. So now take an example. Let's study the concept. Okay. So this is the there are three types of risk: risk one, risk two, and risk three. Risk one, risk two, and risk three. This is a risk one, risk two, and risk three. So where the sum insured is in risk one is 10 lakh, and in risk two is 20 lakh, and in risk three is 55 lakh. Ceding insurer retention in all the cases, risk for risk one, risk two, and risk three is defined as 5 lakh. So 5 lakh. It means if our retention is 5 lakh, that is called a line, then it means we have arranged a treaty of 10 lines. Then our treating surplus capacity would be 50 lakh. Our surplus capacity would be 50 lakh on the basis of this. So our total treating capacity would be 5 lakh plus 50 lakh. So 55 lakh ka we have cover. So let's study these questions and try to answer this question. Reinsurance participation in surplus treaty is generally expressed in terms of reinsurance participation in surplus treaty is generally expressed in terms of very simple question based on the lines of retention. So next question is, what does 10% not exceeding one line a part of 10 lines indicate? What does this statement indicate? That reinsurer A having 10% not exceeding one line part of 10 lines in the question. So reinsurer takes 10% of every risk. Reinsurer A takes maximum one line out of 10 lines. Reinsurer take unlimited share. Reinsurer retains their risk, and reinsurer pay only claim. So in this case, the reinsurer A takes maximum one line out of 10 is our answer. So in a 10 line surplus treaty, if a reinsurer A participate for 10%, how many lines does it take? So how many lines does it take? Agar 10 lines surplus treaty hai and reinsurer participate for 10%. So reinsurer A take one line. Naturally, that is a one line. 10% of 10 lines means 10% of 10 lines, 10 into 10%, answer would come one line. So the one line would be my answer. So reinsurer B participate for 90% in the treaty. This corresponds to, since there are 10 lines and the reinsurer B participate for the 90% of the treaty, so it means they have been accepting 9 lines, or they have been reinsurer B share in the treaty is 9 lines. Moving ahead to the next question. In risk one, if the sum insured is 10 lakh. In risk one, if the sum insured is 10 lakh, so how the reinsurer retention फ्लो हाँ जी, गुड मॉर्निंग सुबह जी, कैसे हो? सॉरी डिस्टर्ब कर रहा है यार आप. So So begins with another question. The question is basically this is a question of non-proportional treaty. The question says the trigger is designed to stop the loss from claims of the reinsured for that class of business at say pre-agreed 80% of net return premium. An aggregate excess of loss of cover is selected 90% in excess of loss ratio over 80% subject to a maximum loss ratio of 130%. तो इस केस में क्या कहते हैं कि बेसिकली क्वेश्चन नॉन प्रोपोर्शनल ट्रीटी एंड स्टॉप लॉस. इस क्वेश्चन की स्टेटमेंट से ये निकल के आता है कंक्लूजन दैट जो सीडिंग कंपनी है वो लॉस रेशियो 80% तक बियर करेगी एंड री इंश्योरेंस कंपनी पिक्चर में आएगी when loss ratio exceeds 80%. Subject when loss ratio exceeds 80% and less than 130%. Less than or equal to 130%. सो अगर ये सिचुएशन होती है तो उस केस में जब लॉस रेशियो हमारी 80% से एक्सीड करेगी और वो 130% तक की रेंज में होगी, जब लॉस रेशियो 80% से एक्सीड करके 130% की रेशियो रेंज में होगी, तो जो डिफरेंस होगा इनका उसका 90% शेयर री इंश्योरर बियर करेगा एंड बैलेंस सीडिंग कंपनी. लेट्स से अगर आईसीआर रेशियो इज 100%, तो अगर 100% है तो यानी कि 100 माइनस 80 दैट इज 20, इसका 90% यानी कि 18% री इंश्योरेंस कंपनी बियर करेगी और जो बाकी 10% है वो सीडिंग कंपनी बियर करेगी. तो अगर 100% आईसीआर रेशियो है तो उस केस में 18% री इंश्योरर का शेयर और 82% सीडिंग कंपनी का शेयर होगा. और जैसे कि अगर हम बात करें 2008 और 2007 की, तो इसमें जो आईसीआर है वो लेस देन 80 है, आईसीआर इज लेस देन 80, तो सारे का सारा जो बियर करेगी वो सीडिंग कंपनी बियर करेगी. ठीक है. सो लेट्स बिगिंस विद द क्वेश्चंस. तो दिस इज द थिंग, दिस इज द कंसेप्ट कि अगर लॉस रेशियो इन एक्सेस ऑफ 80% सब्जेक्ट टू 130%, the reinsurer is going to bear 90% and the balance 10% is going to bear by the ceding company plus the ceding company own retention limit that has been defined as 80% of ICR. So let's begin with the questions. In 2009, the loss ratio was 85%. What is the recovery percentage? What is the recovery percentage from the reinsurer? So in this case, in 2009, the loss ratio was 85%. What is the recovery percentage from the reinsurer? In this case, what is the recovery percent from the reinsurer? See, 85 is the loss ratio. 80% is हमारी retain limit. Difference 5%. 85 minus 85, उसका 90% is going to bear by the reinsurer. So 4.5%, 5 का 90%, that is 4.5% would be our answer. Next question. In 2011, the loss ratio reached at 130%. What is the total recovery for the year? So loss ratio is 130%. So 130 minus 80, that is 50. 50 multiplied by 90 divided by 100, that is 45% is the 45% is the 45% is the loss which is to be recovered from the reinsurer. So my answer would be 45%. In 2012, next question. In 2012, the loss ratio increased to 140%. How much did the insurer pay for this specific year? See, as per the statement of the question, the maximum liability of the reinsurer will be 130 minus 80 ka 90%. So maximum liability would be 45% which you can recover from the reinsurer. So what if reinsurer, if loss ratios 180%, 200%, or 250%, that reinsurer liability is limited to a certain extent. That is why it is called as stop loss ratio. So in this case, the liability would be maximum 45%. Considering the 140% loss ratio in 2012, what is the net loss ratio retained by the insurer after insurance recovery? See, uh, loss ratio, reinsurer, as we have calculated reinsurer share, in this case, since the loss ratio exceed 130%, so reinsurer share is limited with 45%. Balance, that is 140 minus 45%, that balance 95% would be ceding company loss, ceding company share. In which of the following years the recovery would be zero? So, as per this question, year in which the loss ratio is less than 80%, recovery from reinsurer would be zero. Recovery from reinsurer would be zero. So, next question. What is the total gap or burst uninsured loss ratio above the treaty? Since we have a treaty capacity up to ICR 130%, in which 80% is the retained and 50% treaty arrangement. So whatever the thing, we have made a treating capacity, in this case non-proportional treaty, to the extent of 130%. If any ratio exceeds way more than 130%, then it will be called as gap or PML burst. In this case, the PML burst is of 10%. So since we have a reinsurance coverage, reinsurance protection up to the 130%. So 140 minus 130%, that 10% will be called as reinsurance gap and reinsurance protection. If the loss for 2010 is 100%, was 10 crores, what is the actual rupee amount to be recovered from the reinsurer? So first of all, the reinsurer liability has to be calculated. That is 100 ICR minus 80 into 90 by 100 into 90 by 100. तो reinsurer share would be 18%. अगर हमारा लॉस है 10 करोड़, तो री इंश्योरेंस से हम कितना अचीव करेंगे? 18% ऑफ 10 करोड़, 18% ऑफ 10 करोड़, तो जो हमारी फिगर आ जाएगी दैट इज 1.8 करोड़ हमारा आंसर आ जाएगा. मूविंग टुवर्ड्स द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. ये क्वेश्चन आपको एक री इंश्योरेंस केस स्टडी है. एबीसी पेट्रोकेमिकल कंपनी है. एबीसी पेट्रोकेमिकल कंपनी है. उनकी रिस्क डिटेल्स दे रखी हैं. एबीसी लिमिटेड पेट्रोकेमिकल कंपनी जिसका सम इंश्योर्ड है 1000 करोड़ और इंश्योरर है री इंश्योरर है XYZ. री इंश्योरर XYZ. री इंश्योरर है XYZ. Sorry, I change the sorry, make the statement. ABC Petrochemical company है, that is called insured. Insurer XYZ is called cedent company. उसकी डिटेल XYZ is called as cedent company. So अब let's discuss the arrangements. In this case, there is statutory cession, that is a obligatory cession 50 crores, and you made a net retention of 100 crores, that is a 10% of net retention. Then you arrange a first level surplus treaty for 200 crores. Then we have arranged a second surplus treaty for 100 crores. Then speculative for balance. So how much balance we have left? 1000 crores. May say we have subtracted 200, 300, 400, 450 crores we have subtracted. The balance we left with 50 crores for which we have arranged speculative reinsurance. Okay. So what is the percentage of risk that has been managed through speculative reinsurance in this program? Then it means a 550 is a speculative arrangement that we have made divided by 1000 into 100. Answer would come 55%. Our answer comes a 55%. If ABC Petrochemical limit suffers a partial loss of 200 crores, then what is the liability or the first surplus treaty insurer? If ABC Limited has suffer a partial loss of 200 crores, then what would be the liability of first surplus treaty? See, 200 crores is a partial loss. Uh, in this case, 5% is the obligatory cession, that is the 200 crores का जो 5% है, that is an obligatory cession. तो उस केस में कितना हुआ आपका 10 करोड़ आपको जीआईसी से मिल जाएगा पैसा. उसके बाद आपकी 10% रिटेंशन है, तो 20 करोड़ आपकी रिटेंशन है, तो 20 करोड़ ये हो गया 30 करोड़. तो आपकी फर्स्ट सरप्लस ट्रीटी है 20% की. तो फर्स्ट सरप्लस ट्रीटी यानी कि 20% की आपका लॉस है 200 करोड़ का. तो फर्स्ट सरप्लस ट्रीटी में कितना फर्स्ट सरप्लस ट्रीटी की लाइबिलिटी बनेगी, वो बनेगी 40 करोड़ की. तो अवर माय आंसर वुड बी 40 करोड़. प्रोपोर्शनल ट्रीटी में प्रोपोर्शनल लॉस हैज टू बी बेयर. तो जो जीआईसी से लेना पैसा आपको 10 करोड़ लेना है, फिर आपने रिटेन करना है 20 करोड़ रिटेन करना है, और 20% आपकी फर्स्ट सरप्लस ट्रीटी है, तो पार्शियल लॉस में 200 into 20%, 40 crores would be answer. In a reinsurance terminology, in a reinsurance terminology, the net retention of 100 crore is often called as line. Based on this, how many lines is the first surplus treaty? See, जो lines in first surplus treaty कितनी है? अगर हमारी retention है 100 करोड़ की, और हमारी फर्स्ट लेवल रिटेंशन है हमारी 100 करोड़ की, और फर्स्ट लेवल ट्रीटी है हमारी 200 करोड़ की, तो फर्स्ट लेवल ट्रीटी 200 करोड़ डिवाइडेड बाय 100. तो जो फर्स्ट लेवल ट्रीटी में हमारे पास कितनी लाइंस अवेलेबल है, दैट इज 2 लाइंस अवेलेबल है. दैट इज फर्स्ट लाइन ट्रीटी कैपेसिटी डिवाइडेड बाय रिटेंशन लिमिट. तो हमारे पास जो आ गई 2 लाइंस अवेलेबल है. व्हाट इज द टोटल ऑटोमेटिक कैपेसिटी? What is the total automatic capacity statutory plus retention plus treaties available to the XY insurance company before they seek speculative support? As we have discussed in previous way, that speculative support is available for 550 crores. So 1000 minus 550 crores, a balance which will be called as 450 crores is our automatic capacity before we going for a speculative support. So total automatic capacity, that is the statutory, our limit, retentions, our limit, plus treaty available to us for which we have received a speculative support. So this is our answer. So moving ahead to another question, that is risk placement structure. A particulars, this is given as follow. Risk PML on probable maximum loss 1000 crores. So net retention is our 30 crores. Surplus treaty we have stated 570 crores. Obligatory cession D 50. Standard rate we have considered as 5%. Facultative arrangement we have made, that is 350 crores. So for total 1000 crores we have arranged this type of combination of facultative and surplus treaties. This further it is said that excess of loss layer for net retained loss is 25 in excess of 5 crores. It means we have also arranged a non-proportional treaty. So let's begin with the question. Uh, let's begin with the question. The net retention of the insurer expressed as a percentage of the risk PMLS. So net retention is 30. That is of 1000. So answer would become as 3%. 30 divided by 1000 into 100. That is comes to 3%. So our uh, first answer would be 3%. The capacity of a 9 surplus treaty with the retention of 30 crores per line is so retention is 30 crore and capacity of a 99 surplus treaty will be 19 19 into 30, that is 570 crore would be our answers. The total capacity available under retention plus surplus treaty is, since our retention is 30 and surplus treaty available is 570 crore, then the answer would our come 6,000 crores would be our answer. 600 crore would be our answer. So what is the percentage of risk that is placed under speculative reinsurance? So as we see, a speculative reinsurance is for 350. Speculative reinsurance is for 350. So 350 divided by 1000 into 100. The balance would, that is called 35% of speculative reinsurance treaty available. Which of the following correctly represents the balancing figure in the placement? So which of the following correctly represent the balancing figure in the replacement? So balancing figure we have arranged speculative treaty. So the speculative reinsurance we have arranged, that is a balancing figure in the treaty. This. Now moving towards the 56th question, the risk excess of loss cover 25 crores in excess of 5 crores means that risk of excess of loss of cover of 25 crore in excess of 5 crore means that the reinsurer pays a loss between 5 crores and 30 crores. जो reinsurance नॉन प्रोपोर्शनल ट्रीटी में जो लिमिट है वो 25 करोड़ की है. अगर यानी कि अगर कोई 30 करोड़ का नेट रिटेन लॉस है, नेट रिटेन लॉस 30 करोड़ का है, तो उसमें से जो 5 करोड़ डिडक्टेबल होगा, तो 25 करोड़ हम री इंश्योरर से रिकवर करेंगे अंडर एक्सेस ऑफ लॉस ट्रीटी बेसिस पे. दैट इज अ 56th क्वेश्चन. मूविंग अहेड टू द 57th क्वेश्चन, if the probable maximum loss were 800 crore instead of 1000 crore, then the surplus treaty percentage will be approximately, if our probable maximum loss is 800 crores, then instead of 1000 crores, since our retention is 3%, so 800 ka 3%, that is a 24 crore our retention, and 24 crore our retention, and there is a 19 lines available. There is a 19 lines available. So 19 multiplied by 24. 19 multiplied by 24. What figure you will get? 19 multiplied by 24. 240 minus 24. So it comes to 216 crore. So 216 crore, it will come, the figure will come as 216 crore. So 216 crore divided by 100, 800. 216 divided by 800 multiplied by 100. I think this question basically needs to be checked again. The answer is not coming in this question. I will check and come back to this question with you. Okay, the 57th is a basically if we have considered 3% retention on the basis of this. then this is called 24 crores we have arranged. 24 crores multiplied by 19. Okay, this figure come as 456 crores. Sorry, not this figure will come as 456 crore. So 456 crore divided by 800 crores into 100. So our answer would come as 57%. So our answer would come as 57%. So 57% will be the answer. Since we have arranged, our sum insured is 800 crore, retention is 3%, 24 crores, and we have arranged 19 lines because second surplus treaty was in previous question was 570 crores and our retention was 30 crores. So on the basis of which we have computed 19 lines. So 19 lines multiply by retention, that is 24. Then our retention would come, surplus treaty will come as 456 crores. 456 divided by 800, then answer our come 57%. So it is a tricky question, needs some calculation. Please do it calculation very thoroughly. Okay. So which reinsurance arrangement provides automatic capacity without individual underwriting? So which reinsurance arrangement provides an automatic capacity without individual underwriting? So this question is again a very important question. So can you guess? Can you guess for this question? What will be the answer for this question? Any su- suggestions? Which insurance arrangement that's provides for the automatic treaty capacity? Uh, any any suggestions? Any idea for this question? So surplus treaty. It is basically a surplus treaty that provides automatic capacity without any individual underwriting because for facultative treaty, you go for the underwriting, but for the surplus treaty, it is an automatic capacity. It covers the all class of business that falls under the scope of the treaty. So without going for the individual underwriting, which is a case of facultative treaty, the surplus treaty is our answer. And it is very simple question, but the questions line has been changed differently. So next question is very tricky. In the case of fire losses, partial losses 200 crore, then the recovery under the excess of loss treaty would be how much? See, loss is 200 crores. This question is very important. Loss 200 crores. First of all, retention कितना है? Loss है 200 crores. Retention है 6 crore. Loss का 3%. Obligatory कितना है? 5%. तो लॉस ऑब्लिगेटरी है 10 crores, 5% ऑफ 200 crores. उसके बाद हमारे पास सरप्लस कितना हुआ? सरप्लस टीटी में हमारे पास कितना आएगा? 19 into 6. 19 into 6 आप जब करेंगे तो हमारे पास सरप्लस में आएगा, सरप्लस में हमारे पास 114 crores. और एक बार हम फैकुलेटिव ट्रीटी की भी फैकुलेटिव ट्रीटी का देख लेते हैं. एक बार हम देख लेते हैं फैकुलेटिव ट्रीटी में 35% फैकुलेटिव ट्रीटी का रेट है. तो फैकुलेटिव ट्रीटी में हमारे पास आएगा 70 crores. तो ये जो हमारे पास रेशियो आई है वो ऐसे आई कि 6 crores हमारा रिटेन, 10 crore हमारे पास ऑब्लिगेटरी सेशन से हम रिकवर करेंगे 16 crore. फिर 114 crores हमारे पास सरप्लस ट्रीटी से है, कितना हो गया 130 crores. और फैकुलेटिव से हमारे पास है 70. तो हमारा 200 crore का जो हो गया अरेंजमेंट हो गया. नाउ अवर रिटेन लॉस कितना है? 6 करोड़ का रिटेन लॉस है, 6 करोड़ का जो हमारे पास है रिटेंशन में। और हम कह रहे हैं कि एक्सेस लॉस ऑफ ट्रीटी क्या कहती है? 25 इन एक्सेस ऑफ 25 इन एक्सेस ऑफ 5 करोड़। तो अगर कोई लॉस 5 करोड़ से ऊपर का जाता है तो वो री इंश्योरर बियर करेगा सब्जेक्ट टू मैक्सिमम ऑफ 25 करोड़। तो हमारा लॉस है 6 करोड़, 6 में से 5 करोड़ होगा हमारा डिडक्टेबल। तो जो 1 करोड़ हमारे पास आया, जो 1 करोड़ हमारे पास आया, वो हमारे पास क्या आया? रिकवरी अंडर एक्सेस ऑफ लॉस ट्रीटी। रिकवरी अंडर एक्सेस ऑफ लॉस ट्रीटी। In case a fire loss is 200 crores, then the recover under excess loss of treaty would be, in case fire losses of 200 crores. Okay. Then recover under excess loss of treaty would be